the Sterling Heights Public Library. My name is Brent, and today we're making lemon curd. What's lemon curd? Well, it's a sweet and tangy lemon preserve that's going to be made with butter, eggs, and sugar. It's very popular in the United Kingdom. If you ever watch the Great British Baking Show, they use lemon curd all the time. I tend to think of it as sunshine on a spoon. Let's talk a little bit about the ingredients. So our ingredient list today is very simple. We're going to need some lemons, we're going to need some sugar, some butter, and some eggs. Use decent quality eggs. They don't have to be $8 a dozen, but something decent. Today's recipe is going to be coming straight out of Luscious Lemon Desserts by Lori Longbottom. Yes, we do have this book at the library. The recipe for this is going to be on page 130. So a couple of things to start off with. We're going to need 3 tablespoons of lemon zest. So zest your lemons first before you juice them. Basically what you're going to do is you're going to use a grater. This here is a microplane. I love these things, and we use that to peel off the very outer layer, just the yellow stuff. You don't want to get down into the white. Do that before you juice your lemons. So this here is the zest off of about 3 lemons, and we're going to need a ½ cup of fresh lemon juice. Fresh lemon juice, yes. Do not use the bottled stuff for this. It is not worth fooling around with. So the next step, we're going to need 6 egg yolks. You ever separated an egg before? Let me show you how to do this. So I've got a container for the yolks, I've got a container for the whites, and I've got a little container that I'm going to use to separate the two. So we crack it, open it. You've probably seen people do this before, and you just kind of decant that yolk into the other half of the shell. The white is pretty much going to come right out of there. The sharp edge of the shell is going to help separate that a little bit. You just set that right in there, and then the whites can go over in here. Why do we use the third container? Well, if you accidentally break a yolk or you get some shell in there, it's a lot easier to pick it out of here than it is out of here. So we're going to need 1 stick of butter. Now the recipe calls for unsalted butter and a pinch of salt. I'm just using salted butter. It isn't going to hurt anything. I'm going to pop that in there. I'm going to melt this on the stovetop, and then we're going to mix some of our other ingredients in. So I've seen several different recipes for this, and there are multiple ways to prepare this, but this one is super easy and it turns out really good. So this is the way we're doing today. So I've got the butter melted in here. I don't need it bubbling, I just need it nice and liquid. I'm going to go ahead and add 3/4 of a cup of sugar, those 3 tablespoons of lemon zest. Make sure you get all of it because a lot of flavor resides in the zest. We want to make sure we get all of that. We got ½ cup of lemon juice here. I squeezed a little bit more than half a cup, but I just measured out the ½ cup, and the rest of it I can save. Go ahead and mix those together good. And then once I've got those in there, we're going to add the egg yolks. Now, with egg yolks, you want to be conscious of temperature on these, because if your mixture is too hot when you go ahead and add those in there, they're going to start cooking immediately. And we are going to cook this a bit, but we don't want them cooking too fast. We're going to whisk that until it's well incorporated and all of our lumps of dry ingredients are gone. So you can see that there is nice and incorporated, nice and smooth. And then we're going to heat this on the stove. We are not going to boil it. As you heat an egg mixture like this here with the yolks, that's going to act as a thickening agent. And depending on how thick you want this, it depends a little bit on how much you're going to cook it, because it's also going to continue to thicken as you cool it. So depending on whether you want a sauce or whether you want something that's much more spreadable, consider that when you're at this stage of getting ready to cook it and thicken it. So I've got this back on the stove over low heat, and you are going to want to stir this constantly. This is going to take a little while, but you don't want to take this too fast. The recipe says use a whisk, and you can do that, but right now we've still got the lemon zest in there, and lemon zest is going to wad up all over your whisk. So I am using a rubber spatula and just keeping it moving. This also lets me get right into the corners and gives me a surface that I can keep the bottom of the pan from gumming up to. Now as I'm stirring this, you'll start to see a little bit of thickness. And when it starts to do like this, we're getting close. We do not want this to boil. So take your time, be patient. Thickening with egg yolks can be a little bit finicky, but it's a nice little tactic to know. We are very close. So let me test something here. Now notice I've got a wooden spoon here. So we're going to take that, and then draw a finger across it. See how it leaves a trail? We are just about there. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this off the heat. Oop, a couple of bubbles there. We don't want those. So we want to make sure that we continue to stir it for a little, just a moment or two after it comes off the heat. And then what we're going to do, I've got a bowl and a fine mesh strainer. And I'm going to go ahead and run that in here. Make sure you scrape everything out of the bottom of the pan. And this is going to do two things. This is not only going to help you get the lemon zest back out of the mix because you want the flavor, not the chunks. It's also going to help you if you manage to curdle just a little bit of that egg yolk, because you want this to be smooth, not lumpy. So you may have to press this through the strainer a little bit. You probably will. Do that while it's still warm, because it's a lot easier to do that way. Use the back of your spatula to do that. And take your time. This may take a moment. So I've got all the stuff put through the inside of the strainer, and then we're just going to make sure to scrape down all the goodness from the outside, because you'd be surprised how much clings to the outside of the strainer. This stuff deserves to be much better known here in the US because it is delicious and very easy to make. So there we've got a nice warm lemon curd. We can use this as a sauce right now, but what we're going to do with this, we're going to let this chill. We're going to let it cool down at room temperature. We're going to give it a little whisk now and then to make sure that we don't form a skin, and then we're going to refrigerate it. So here's our lemon curd after it's been chilled. You can see it's thickened up quite a lot. So a couple of things you can do with it. One of the things, I've got some pre-made phyllo shells here real quick. And I've put some of that into a zip top bag. I'm just going to snip off the corner and just use that to pipe a little of that in there. Like that. And you can use a spoon if you're more comfortable with it than that, but throw a couple of blueberries on there. You got yourself a neat little dessert right there, a little snack. Tiny little sprig of mint kind of finishes it off. So those are one idea. Another one, I've got a little parfait here. We got some cookie crumbs in there, a little bit of plain yogurt, layer of that lemon curd, and a few blackberries. This is very nice as well. Another one of those places you could use a little sprig of mint. Very simple, but very elegant.